You mentioned your dad, and I've been covering you in DC, and you've been bringing him up a lot. You just turned 58. He passed away from cancer at 58. What do you think he would say to see his son as Speaker of the House of Representatives?
He would be very proud. You know, if you go downtown at the fire station, they have a memorial to him. That kind of was his life.
Well, Congressman Adam Schiff has been serving in the House since 2001, and realistically, if he didn't jump in now, he may never get the chance, considering that Senator Alex Padilla was just elected to a 6-year term, and he's only going to be 50 this March, which means he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Usually, the president's party loses seats in a midterm election.
But this is an unusual year.
This is an unusual year, and experts that I've spoken with said the playbook kind of goes out the window here because it's difficult to predict what will happen when you have a case like the overturning of Roe versus Wade motivating people to get out and vote. Maybe people haven't been registered or haven't voted in a while, and this is an issue that will drive them to the ballot box. Ultimately, we won't know until Election Day, but I think that this is going to be an election like we've never seen before.
Cassie Simeon is outside the Supreme Court this morning ahead of today's oral arguments. Good morning, Cassie. Break down what's at stake here with this case.
Well, Giselle, this case isn't just about pork, though the National Pork Producers Council is the one bringing this case. This case, depending on the justice's decision, could have impacts on California's emission laws and other states' laws across the country. This is a huge race because Mike Garcia and Christy Smith have faced off not once, not twice, but 3 times now for this seat. And Smith only lost in 2020 by 333 votes, making it a seat Democrats see as flippable in hopes of holding off Republicans from taking the House. How do you and Democratic senators plan to use your majority to try and protect a woman's right to choose? Is the filibuster still the biggest obstacle?
I do believe the filibuster is the biggest obstacle, not just on codifying a woman's right to choose, advancing immigration reform, restoring a federal right to vote that was lost. The numbers aren't changing, but Kevin McCarthy is determined now more than ever to get that speaker's gavel. I mean, this is something that he has wanted for a very long time. He's been in Congress since 2007. He's been in leadership for over a decade. I mean, if you look at 2015, he tried to become Speaker of the House, and the House Freedom Caucus hijacked his chances, saying we will not support a Speaker McCarthy, and he essentially had to pull his name out of the hat, and then Paul Ryan became Speaker. So he really sees this at his opportunity for redemption, and he does not want to be slighted for a second time. So
Cassie Simeon is at the White House with more. Cassie.
Well, Alex, this is the first meeting between the two men since McCarthy was elected Speaker last month. The Bakersfield native has been adamant that spending cuts need to be made before Republicans will vote to raise the debt ceiling. But the White House has been holding firm, saying that a debt limit raise should come without any strings attached. Leaving today's meeting, McCarthy called it productive.
In an exclusive interview with Spectrum News, McCarthy says he's disappointed the president has not called back. Spectrum News Washington, D.C. reporter Cassie Simeon sat down with McCarthy in his hometown of Bakersfield, California, and she joins us now. And Cassie, what did he tell you?
Well, Josh, there is a lot riding on these negotiations to raise the debt limit between President Joe Biden and Speaker Kevin McCarthy. But McCarthy told me not a lot of progress is being made. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy met with President Joe Biden on February 1st to talk about lifting the nation's debt limit. McCarthy said afterwards,
The next step is very clear. We left it that he'll give me a call in a couple days.
2 weeks later, McCarthy says he's still waiting. Has he called you?
He hasn't, and it's unfortunate because in America, our whole government is designed that you have to find compromise.
In my exclusive Spectrum News interview, McCarthy repeated that Republicans will oppose lifting the borrowing limit without a deal on spending reductions.
I'm not predetermining what that number has to be. I'm just thinking you need to sit down, be responsible, be adults in the room.
When asked about McCarthy's comment that Biden has not called back, a White House official said Biden's position has not changed. that the debt limit must be raised without conditions. McCarthy was in Bakersfield a day after visiting the world's largest outdoor agriculture show in nearby Tulare with members of the House Agriculture Committee. They heard from farmers about what should be included in the large and politically important farm bill being drafted to fund agriculture and nutrition programs for the next 5 years. The McCarthy ally who chairs the committee told Spectrum News the new bill should be shielded from spending cuts, but McCarthy declined to make such a pledge.
Well, look, I look at everything. I want constant improvement. I think you can always find a place that you can be more efficient and more accountable and more effective.
And as former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley became the first Republican after former President Donald Trump to enter the 2024 presidential race, McCarthy said he has too much on his plate now to weigh in on the contest, but that he expects to.
Someone can earn my endorsement for 2024, but look, I just got elected Speaker a little more than a month ago. I got a lot of work on my hands. I got the debt ceiling. I'll probably endorse, but I'll do it a little later.
The speaker is now headed to Arizona, where he will tour the Mexican border to renew his calls for the Biden administration to do more when it comes to border security. Josh.
And Cassie, just turning back to the debt ceiling, you know, at some point the speaker and the president are going to have to meet again and talk about this, with the CBO saying that this limit is approaching. What else did McCarthy say about what he wants from these negotiations, CBO being the Congressional Budget Office?
Well, McCarthy has been clear that budget cuts need to be made for Republicans to raise the debt ceiling, but he said that Medicare and Social Security are off the table, and he really just wants to sit down with the president and continue these discussions. The president, meanwhile, is treating this like two separate conversations. Raise the debt ceiling clean, then we can talk about potential cuts down the line. It's also really important to remember here, Josh, that the Republican-controlled House has to do something on the debt limit and then send it over to the Democratic-controlled Senate. So it's going to be an uphill battle from here, not just with Congress, but also trying to reach a deal with the White House. And as you mentioned, the clock is ticking.
Yeah, very interesting, very important as well. Cassie Simeon, thanks so much.